Now, 4 more U.S. states are holding their presidential nomination contests this Tuesday. Republicans will compete in Hawaii and Idaho, while the primaries for both parties will be staged in Mississippi and Michigan. Democrats Hillary Clinton and the Republican Donald Trump are still in the lead to become their party's nominees. Let's get more on this story with Peter Emerson. He's a former White House aide and has been involved in Democratic Party politics since 1968. Many thanks for joining us, Peter. Now, given your experience...
Happy to be with you, Malene.
Given your experience in all this experience in presidential elections, have you ever seen anything like what we're seeing so far?
Not at all. Never, never, never.
So tell me, what do you make of what's been going on?
I think what we're seeing, and I'm certain of it because for me politics is about emotions. Rarely is it about policy or ideas, unless in some rare cases those policy and ideas are connected directly to emotions. We're seeing literally a tsunami, an earthquake of fear and anger sweeping across the country. Consequently, the rise of Donald Trump, who has a dual message, not just of fueling and fanning the flames of fear and anger, but also there's an inspirational and aspirational aspect to his message, which is resonating with many parts of the country, including millennials or the younger generation. And on the Democratic side, we're seeing Bernie Sanders, the beneficiary of some of that fear and anger, but for the most part, Hillary Clinton seems to be well poised to win the Democratic nomination.
If you were a strategist in the Republican Party right now, what would you be doing? Is there anything you can do?
If you're asking me to help Donald Trump win the election, I'd simply talk about infrastructure and the fact that Trump is a builder. He's promising to make America great again, which is what many, many people are responding to because they know in some ways America has declined on a number of fronts. If you're asking me to help stop the Trump movement, the best thing I could do is to say, stop doing everything you're doing.
So, expand on that. What do you mean by that?
I think that starting with Mitt Romney and the millions of dollars that are being thrown in negative advertising against Donald Trump are doing two things. They're reinforcing his vote, number one, and number two, I think it's creating the inevitability factor for Donald Trump. I don't think that in the end it's going to have very much impact other than perhaps splintering their party even further.
Well, do you think the problem was they started this negativity campaign a little too late? If they'd perhaps started it a lot early on in the race, it might have made a difference.
It might have made a difference, maybe, but here's the challenge. The challenge is that any candidate today can say anything they want, and there's no countervailing pressure or accountability. I think about 65% of Americans now no longer believe the media. An even greater number don't trust the government. Even religious institutions in this country have a very low credibility and trustworthy factor. So basically, Donald Trump can go out and say anything he wants, and the media, print, electronic, can say over and over again that what he just said wasn't true, and it has no impact.
Okay, turning our attention to the Democratic race, how much impact has Bernie Sanders had on Hillary Clinton's campaign?
I would say a great and positive impact for two reasons. One, because Hillary Clinton was the inevitable going in, and having someone like Bernie Sanders nipping at her heels has both sharpened her message, refined her message. It's allowed her to move slightly to the left in the primary season, but not so far that she can't go back to the center, which is where she'll need to be for the general election. And second, it's put the Clinton team, the campaign team, on high alert, and there's nothing like a good battle to hone your skills, which are going to be very, very much needed in the general election, because this will be one of the most expensive, if not the most expensive presidential race in our history, but it will also be one of the most brutal and some would say damaging races we've ever seen.
Peter, we're nearly out of time. So, what are your predictions? Are we going to see a Hillary versus Donald race at the end? And how do you think that's going to turn out?
I've learned in this year particularly never to guess, even to make a judgment on this. But I think from a superdelegate standpoint, Hillary Clinton will be the nominee. On the Republican side, I see it very difficult for anyone but Trump to come through. And so I will make the prediction that it'll likely be a Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump ticket in the general election.
Okay, Peter, many thanks for your time. It was really good to hear from you. Peter, former White House aide and involved in Democratic Party politics for many years.